Another third period outburst leads VGK to a 5-2 win over the Yotes. Mark Stone was very special in this win. Michael Amadio could have found a home for now on the top line, and everyone is using Chris Golick's term snake-bitten in the VGK locker room.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today's broadcast brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Good morning, Chris. In the past two games against Arizona at the Fortress this season, VGK has exploded in that third period, outscoring the Coyotes 7-2. This team is absolute garbage. They're awful. Arizona versus Chicago could go the full 7 games. Just no one would want to win. 4-1 last night in the third period of play. 5-2 win over Arizona last night. Big night for Mark Stone, for the captain. 8 shots on goal. That is a season high. He scored on the power play off of a Pietrangelo shot on the deflection, and he scored on the shorthanded goal last night where he just stuffed it into the net. Let's start with Stone. He probably has been frustrated the past 2 games. He got stoned on a breakaway in the game last night. Again, pardon the pun. He also had a post on a power play in the second, and he missed an opportunity at a hat trick in the third.
Yeah, I mean, Stone, he goes in waves like this, right? He goes in waves. There's times he's kind of unnoticeable for a long time on the ice, and then there's times when he just kind of explodes. And I guess maybe outside of Jack Eichel, Mark Stone does have a slight, I say slight because he's nowhere near Jack Eichel's skill level, but he does sometimes have the ability to take over a game and control things a little bit. So credit to Mark Stone. I think he might have made up his mind that we're not losing another game at home, at least not on my watch. And, Mark Stone was a term we use a lot, extremely noticeable last night. And yeah, I mean, a post and stuff on a breakaway, fine, but at least he scored otherwise, unlike William Karlsson, who just missed basically a gaping net the other night and didn't do anything else. There you go, Tony. See, I made you, I'm sure that makes you happy to get that in this early this morning, but good game overall, solid game. It was the game that they needed. I didn't watch the game terribly closely. I caught highlights and I watched it on and off, but same vibe as the Arizona game I went to a month and a half ago, however long ago it was, where early on, you're kind of watching, you're like, okay, you're waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for VGK to make their move. And then you're asking yourself all these weird questions. Is Arizona playing decent? Is VGK not playing well? And you're trying to sort through all of this. Same thing last night, 0-0 through, a long time, tied going to the third. And then VGK says, okay, we're going to take care of things right now.
Coyotes, worst special teams I've seen by far. Their power play is absolutely awful. There's no spacing. They don't move the puck, of course, so it enables their opponents to step into the passing lane. And then they just telegraph every single pass. It's just that the puck movement is very slow. 4 for their last 50 on the power play. 4 for their past 50 on the power play. And it was so easy to just step into the passing lanes. And of course, that's why VGK had breakouts shorthanded last night. But this team, just plays right into the hands of VGK in that game last night.
Trying to pull up the special team stats. VGK special teams is finally making a run in a good place. I think they're top 10 now in power play. I haven't seen the PK side, but at least the power play side is starting to come together, and you can just see it in all the games where it is noticeable. And Arizona, they are what they are. I mean, it's them and the Blackhawks. They both want Connor Bedard, and not because I'm a former Blackhawks, season ticket holder, truther, big fan. That's not the reason why I only want him to go to Chicago. I don't think Connor Bedard should go to Arizona in that junk college arena. It's probably a very nice arena for a college team. It's a beautiful arena for a college team, but having your possible next coming of McDavid and Austin Matthews and those types of players playing in a place like that is not good for the NHL. So that's to your point about neither team wanting to win. And yeah, it probably does go 7 games, and they'd probably have to go to a shootout in a playoff format to settle a victor between the Coyotes and the Blackhawks.
Okay, from this point forward, VGK is going to strap on those gold buckets. I'm guessing that was the difference last night.
I just wonder, and I wish, I mean, I can't make all the games, obviously, but last night I would have been the reporter to ask the question, hey, what's with the gold buckets? Was this in the works? Was this suggested? And you probably get a carbon answer. They're going to be like, oh, we just do what we're told, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think the gold buckets were on the docket. I'm just totally guessing. Maybe there's something I missed in social that explained it, but I honestly think this was just a weird ploy to shake things up a little bit and mix it up. And I mean, what if it was Cassidy that said, hey, let's get these gold buckets? Where are these things? Maybe Cassidy likes the gold buckets. How awesome would that be?
That would be pretty funny. He'd be the only one. He'd be a field of one there.
Hey, if they keep winning, we love the gold buckets. They're great.
VGK
make gold buckets great again.
VGK dominates the first period, but no goals again. And they were just, oh my goodness, what a great period, but no goals, no production. To me, it's only great if you're leading, if you're scoring goals in that first period. I don't know why it takes so long for this team to wake up. They played the same team in the first period that they attacked in the third period of play, but they just try to turn it on whenever they feel like it. I don't know what do you sense there?
I mean, process before results, I think, is something that you're hearing a lot of from Cassidy and the players, especially in the game on Monday I was at. They talked about all the chances they got. They talked about the breakaways they got. And you and I talked yesterday. Yes, at times this does feel like DeBoer's Golden Knights, where you have some lazy shots just being flicked in from the point instead of traffic being there and things like that. And Miramonov's goal, that's a perfect example right there. Miramonov, he actually had Kessel, who probably had a better shooting angle, or at least there was more space between Kessel and a would-be defender if Miramonov would have gone one more pass with it. But no, he shot it, got lucky, got the deflection off the defenseman's stick, and the puck goes in the net. And Bruce Cassidy was very positive about Miramonov after the game as far as him having an NHL shot and just the NHL skills, if you will, on the offensive side of the puck. And in his words, we're going to teach him how to play defense in this league. So Cassidy is very high on Miramonov, he's not a young rookie, but he is essentially a rookie right now in the league. And, Cassidy, we've mentioned in the past about how he is with the younger players. He really seems to be having the right amount of patience and push with Miramonov right now. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on as the season progresses, especially as Theodore or Zach Whitecloud come back into the fold. But back to your original question about what do you sense right now? Process before results, get those high danger scoring chances, because eventually it should even out. I mean, it doesn't have to, it's, whatever, but eventually goals should go in. And you saw that in the third period where there was that explosion. I don't think VGK really changed much throughout the game. They were patient. They dictated the pace of play. Second period, 5-on-5, they weren't as good, I would say, but generally speaking, they were in control for most of the game, even when it was 0-0. And, I'm sure at some point it's going to come up, but, Logan Thompson, that was not his best performance last night, though.
No, that's what I was going to ask you about. I know he let up a really bad goal there.
Like a beer league goalie last night, but go ahead. You lead me in first.
No. I was just, you can jump in there. You have the license, but he was not playing well. No, he did not play well. And luckily it was against Arizona, because that won't stand up if he were to play in the game, even against St. Louis coming up on Friday.
On the first goal, if you watch him, and this is something I see so much in the lower level, and again, Logan Thompson is not a beer league goalie. Please don't say this to me, friends, if I'm coming across like this, but that's something that I see a lot in the beer leagues, where these goalies, they have a hard time, standing up and, going from their pads to an upright position. And a lot of times the second the puck comes across that blue line, these guys are literally on their knees waiting for the puck to come. And I get it, at times it's easier to slide across, and then you kind of wait if, there's a play coming. But Logan Thompson, for whatever reason, drops to his knees the second whoever skated the puck. Okay, yeah, whoever skated the puck into the zone, The second he's at the face-off circle, he's just on his knees going across. And when he came across to cover the short side where the goal eventually went in, you saw the gap there. Like it was a very strange moment. And, Logan Thompson at times does remind us that he is still a quote unquote rookie in the league. He's a very good rookie. He's playing very well, and he gave VGK the chance to win the game last night. So, goal achieved in that regard. But, I don't know. And then the second goal, Tony, yeah, Logan Thompson, he was in a weird position. It was a weird play, but it was just like the Tage Thompson goal on Monday night where everyone's just kind of sitting around. You got players flopping like a fish. Alec Martinez was one of them,
Martinez. Tony. Oh, my goodness. So it was Boyd who just fans on the shot. And why was he going? Why did he leave his feet there? Alec Martinez. I couldn't understand that.
It was odd. It was a very odd thing to watch.
That was strange, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a question worth posing. And me and the kids were going to be in the Red Rock area today, and I was just thinking to myself if I was able to get to practice and possibly get some questions. They're off today, Tony.
Set some more trends, please.
They're off, but they're off today.
They deserve to be off. They deserve to be off. They need a break. They do.
Need to be on the ice. Need to be practicing.
You want them out there every day.
I do.
Will carry a 10th goal last night of the season, and that is a career best. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but did I see Cassidy shorten the lines and the shifts? And he also did some blenderizing. Is that a word?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a word, blenderizing?
Blenderizing, sure. So Chris just kind of peeked in here. I think Chris heard me say Red Rock earlier, so he's looking over. He's excited to take a trip today.
I didn't do anything.
Okay.
More Christmas lights, yeah. More Christmas lights for Chris.
Maybe we'll see. Oh, he's coming. All right. There he is.
There's Chris.
Hey, Chris, you never noticed the reverse retro jersey behind you back there?
Very good.
Yesterday morning.
All right. So
there should be a black light over that thing.
Oh, I should get a black light in here. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. All right. So the question was about
blenderizing.
I asked him blenderizing. So yeah, a couple things here about the lines. The first thing when I was watching the highlights last night was I looked in. I said, why did Will Carrier get that goal with Stone and Stephenson out there? Because it looked like it wasn't like a line change situation. And then why did Amadio get the goal when Carlson and Riley Smith was out there? So they were shuffling it a little bit. I know Marchessault briefly went down the tunnel last night. They're looking for things. Chris heard me say someone get injured. He rolled his eyes. He's okay though, Chris. He came back. But they're trying a lot of things right now, and this is the type of thing that I really wish. We talked about this early on, Tony, when this little funk. There you go, Tony. Your terminology. When this funk started, was more shakeups, and I even go back to the Seattle game. So they lost to Philly that night. Terrible game, and then Seattle comes in the next night, or was it the other way around? Either way. That was the night where Marchessault was put on the bench for a while. They completely shook up the lines, and they actually got a good response. They tied the game up. Remember that? Yes. And then now the next night they come back and they stick with the lines the whole game. So finally, I think Cassidy is saying, insert poor word here at blanket, and we're going to find a way to get the players out there that are going to get us those chances.
Coming up next, we're going to be talking about Michael Amadio's contributions in the game last night. Is he going to stay on that top line, even if Cotter comes back soon? Talk about this.
Doesn't even know the answer to that right now, but go ahead.
We'll talk about this when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Little Chris, you should be reading this, man. I'm telling you, you've got a career in this. Get the latest odds, trends for every professional and amateur league that's out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball to the National Hockey League. We've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts as well, you could even find those at BetOnline. We are always the fastest and easiest way to get all of your sports betting information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn a lot more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back from Las Vegas, and thank you for making Locked On Golden Knights your first listen every day. Make sure to check out Locked On Sports today. They have the biggest stories around the sporting world in 20 minutes or less, plus all the instant reactions, all the game recaps, and Locked On's take of the day. free and available wherever you get your podcast, just like us right here at Locked On Golden Knights. And go to our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. And
Hey, Tony,
please
before
subscribe.
so sorry. Before Amadio, Chris is going to give us a tiny quick look at standings. Oh, there he counted us down. He counted you down. All right, Chris, go ahead. Really, you got about 30 seconds. Talk about the stand. Get closer. Get closer.
Boston's first. Vegas is second, surprisingly. Hurricanes are third, which I can't remember that. New Jersey's fourth, surprisingly big time. Toronto's fifth. Dallas is sixth, our biggest enemy. Winnipeg
Dallas
seventh,
is our biggest enemy.
besides Sharks. Pittsburgh eighth. Tampa ninth. Rangers 10th.
Okay, now let's do the bottom. Do like the bottom 5 teams now.
Bottom 5 teams.
Here from that team right there. Go ahead.
Vancouver. But Vancouver is 26th, minus 19. Philadelphia is 27th, minus 27.
He's doing the goal differentials.
San Jose is 28th, but minus 24. Arizona's 29th, minus 31.
They stink.
No wonder we won last night.
Yeah, they stink.
They stink, Tony said.
Columbus is 30th, minus 43. And then Anaheim is
31.
minus 31, minus 62. And Chicago is 32nd, minus 50. And let's see, I want to see how much big of a points difference Chicago has to Boston, to Vegas. Okay. Chicago only has 31. We have 35.
Those are the games win. Those are games played.
Oh.
It's 47 here. I got you.
Oh.
It's 47 points versus Chicago having 18.
Oh.
Pretty big difference, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank you, Chris.
That's awesome. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that's very cool. I wanted to talk about Michael Amadio, starting with the Islander game, perhaps inserted into that top line. Again, he pushed Kessel back in the lineup there, and finally rewarded with the goal last night. In fact, Bruce Cassidy was very pleased that there were 2 deflected goals in the game, Stone and Amadio.
Yeah, and Amadio, this is a double-edged sword right now. Paul Cotter, Amadio, even Phil Kessel to a degree, they're becoming noticeable players on that top line. But what we really need to see as fans, as media, as insert whatever the heck we are, we need to see one of these players take their whatever they're learning when they're playing on the top line and becoming those players that make those players around them on the third line better. And I think that's the ultimate goal here, because Cotter at some point is going to come back. Does Cotter take that place back? Obviously, Jack Eichel, I think I think Jack Eichel and Paul Cotter are pretty close to coming back if they don't end up coming back at the same time. That's the hope, at least. So when that happens, I don't think we're going to see Amadio on that top line, but hopefully Amadio can keep that noticeable role wherever in the lineup he goes. And yes, these injuries stink right now, but it's also a blessing in disguise. We're learning a lot more about these players and how much they've advanced in their career and things like that. And we're learning about, look at Will Carrier right now. And he's doing what he's doing, not even because of injuries. He's just excelling because of, whatever is clicking in his head right now. But Amadio, healthy scratch, he played he was a healthy scratch to start the season. Paul Cotter had a good start. Paul Cotter gets taken out of the lineup. Amadio comes in, and Amadio was possessed when he first came back into the lineup. And then he was up and down and things like that. But he's being right now a serviceable piece. And, maybe it does seem like our roster is a little bit deeper than we'd like to think right now, because at times these, good things are happening with Eichel, with Theodore, with Whitecloud, when Pietrangelo was out, and we can go on and on. Howden, we haven't seen him in a long time as well. That's an under the radar piece that we're missing as well right now. But credit Amadio for taking what's in front of him and becoming a noticeable player. Noticeable, I think that's our theme word right now. It's only noticeable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And we saw last night where Amadio set up Mark Stone on that a couple of chances actually in the game.
And Monday.
And doing a great job really of setting him up, and he's buzzing around too. doing a good job on the forecheck, all of that. Keep the breakout last night there on the shorthanded goal. And I think there was a deflection that went over the net.
That was so fun. I saw that one live. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great job and just he's in the right place at the right time. And that's what's happening. So Cassidy does like to go with a hot hand. That's why I just really do believe, I believe Big Chris, that no, I seem to believe that he will stick with Amadio regardless. Perhaps Cotter is sent back down for a moment there until Amadio, it's his job to lose there as far as being in that rotation, I think, every night now, because again, Cassidy does play the hot hand.
A good question for whenever the next time I can make it back to a game would be and especially if you can talk to a Stone or a Stephenson or an Amadio for that matter, like how do they react to being in different spots in the lineup? Or when you're Stone and Stephenson, you're going to be on that top line. What is it like when looks like a museum back there? What is it like when you keep having players coming in and out? What is that? How do you adjust? And is it a good thing? Does it keep you on your toes, or does it get in your head and make you snake bitten? Do you have to think about who you're out there with, or is it automatic no matter who is out there? And that's interesting. It'd be an interesting reaction to get, I guess. And again, I like what Cassidy's been doing. He's not sitting back with the lines anymore. He's making changes. We felt that he was going to be aggressive at times with lines and trying to find a way to get things to click. But then all of a sudden there was a period where he didn't want to make those changes. So, I like what's happening. And let's not get too excited. We beat the Coyotes last night. We're very positive right now, which is a good thing. We won the game we should have won. I thought they were going to lose. You thought they were going to win. So, good on VGK getting it done. We got St. Louis on Friday, who's not a great team by any means. They've been doing a little bit better, I think, as of late. They actually won a few games, but again, they got to take care of business Friday night. End of story.
And that was the second goal of the season for Michael Amadio. And coming up next, we're going to take a look at whether or not VGK is out of the funk. Is that over and done with? I didn't hear much about that funk word last night from Coach Cassidy. And also, another term that's being thrown around is something that our guy Chris Golick brought up to the players the other night. And now everyone's talking in the VGK locker room about getting off of being snake bitten. Snake bitten, the operative word. Talk more about that. Great job, Chris, in the locker room the other night. Well, more ahead right here on Locked On Golden Knights. You're hanging out with some friends and you're putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many as the evening comes to an end and people start to head out. Think of calling for a ride, right? Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. Really no big deal. What are the odds that you're going to get pulled over anyway? And even so, what is the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you lose your job, you total your car, kill someone. It's very, very frustrating to see all these drunk drivers on the roads today. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel and under the influence. And that's why police officers are out there right now. They are looking for impaired drivers on all of our roadways. Please keep the roadways safe. They want to save lives. So if you think it's okay to drive after a few drinks, please think again. Play it safe, plan ahead, get a ride. It takes only one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. We just had a really bad accident here in Las Vegas over the past few days. So please, please, please do not drive drunk or impaired. Drive sober or get pulled over. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick in Las Vegas. And a couple of things in this segment. Is VGK out of the funk? But more importantly, you put something in the head of Chandler Stephenson the other night, and you asked, credit to you, because you have this recurring theme of asking players and Cassidy if this team is snake bitten. And so Chandler Stephenson, post-game last night, says, okay, first period, we're really good. 14 or 15 shots on goal, 15 blocks. And had the Coyotes on their heels, right? Gave momentum, back and forth, had them put the foot on the gas, so to speak, there after that. And then he said on Mark Stone, he said he's going to score. He's not going to be snake-bitten forever. So that kind of swirled around the locker room there about being snake-bitten. That's really cool.
Good job. I mean, here's the audio. See how well you can get it here.
You're going to hold it up to your mic?
Feeling that the team is snake-bitten right now. I guess a little bit, you could say that. Last game, two had a bunch of chances tonight, so I think once pucks start going in and we start getting some bounces, I think that will change the mood and confidence. So, I mean, that's, there's the money shot right there for you. There's the money shot for you right there. Funny. But, point being is that it wasn't just the answer he gave and the fact that he acknowledged it. It was the way it was like, so Stephenson's a pretty confident dude. I don't think he's uncomfortable around the media. I've seen him a few times, but this was him in the interview. He's got the hat down, kind of looking up while you're asking the questions and looking down while he's talking, so
he's not a very tall guy, is he?
No, he's a little guy. He's definitely not a big guy, at least.
It looked like you were
I'm
looking
6'2",
down
so a lot of guys are little to me, but
everyone's but you were looking down at him. I think you intimidated him.
I did. But you can see the confidence at that time. The confidence was just shaken. The boys were shaken up right now, and I can get it after a game like Monday nights because they should have won that game. Even with the 3-0 deficit, they should have won that game. Although the third period was a little bit of fool's gold. There you go. Yeah, whatever I'm trying to say there. In the sense that I actually spelled this out for one of our followers the other day. So they had a lot of strong chances in the third against Buffalo on Monday, where it looked like, hey, VGK found their groove. They're getting all these chances, but they were going against a team playing prevent defense, where you keep ripping off those 8 to 10 to 12-yard chunk plays because they're giving you the middle of the field. They just don't want to break, right? And then Buffalo did somewhat at least batten down the hatches when VGK was close to scoring. Yeah, VGK did pot 2 goals in the third, but they couldn't get the tying goal. They couldn't get the game to get him over the hump. So, Monday's game, fine. Maybe there's a little bit of momentum because of the third period, but the fact that they executed in Wednesday's game, even after the rough start, says something. And the fact that they did explode. Now, as Chris mentioned, I think Arizona was the 31st ranked team or something like that. So, it was a get right game. I mean, that was that's a term that I used so much early in the season. Now that I think about it, it's a get right game. It's a get right game. But how many get right games have the VGK had where they got wrong? They got crushed, and it's a very strange season right now. And I think we're now over the 500 watermark for the month of December. And again, this is now the third straight show I'm going to say this. I think we both were on the same mindset that they were about 500 in December with a healthy roster. It's not bad. It's something to build on because, there's going to be some corrections. There's going to be some rough nets, some heavy ice, some bad puck luck. So, maybe it's all kind of happening at once. The bad luck's happening at once. The injuries are happening at once. At the end of the day, we're learning that players like Amadio can succeed in a higher role. And just maybe this is what VGK needed to ground him a little bit. And at some point, they're going to turn it up. I don't know. Just throwing some ideas out there.
Isn't it funny, though, that no one mentioned injuries last night when they're winning games? Come on.
No, and that's the thing. And
it's kind of funny, though, that just, that's been a crutch for this team, but they do have the roster to win. That's what we've been getting at here.
No doubt. Definitely the bet against Arizona, definitely against all these lower level teams, against Buffalo, against St. Louis, sure as heck Philadelphia, and going to Columbus and barely scooting by. This is even as many injuries as there are now, this roster isn't much different than last year, I guess. Even by now, Pacioretty was hurt, Stone was hurt, and at this point, they were doing just as well, maybe not as well, but they were still comfortably in the playoffs, I believe, in December. Things weren't, that bad. They might not have been leading the division like they are, but at this point last season, yes, the injuries were noticeable, but I don't think there was in anyone's mind they were going to miss the playoffs by this point. So, year over year, we're in a better place, but we're not much different than where we were last year, just simply from a standings perspective and being comfortably in the playoffs.
How many stories are we going to see today or read about this team no longer snake bitten? That's what I have to ask out there. You made a huge impact though, because you put that into Chandler Stephenson's head. Yeah, maybe we are snake bitten. And then he says, well, Stone's not going to be snake bitten for very long. So that was great. It wasn't.
I wish I'd have been there for that one last night.
It would have been funny.
I would have been like, I would have given him the like that, a little wink maybe.
No, the hat's got to be down. A little wink. But again, VGK, credit to them in the game last night. Past couple of games, they are getting behind the defenders. They're doing a good job of doing that.
Which Cassidy mentioned that was brought up in the Jesse, I think, brought that up. Yeah, that was definitely a good point by Jesse on Monday, and Cassidy backed that up right away.
Yeah, and so they're starting to play a little bit better. But then again, it just, how much weight do we put onto a victory? Are they out of the funk?
Listen, a win's a win, and a win against the Arizona Coyotes on December 21st is a win. It counts. And, in our minds, it probably doesn't count as much as a loss would have, as far as, our mood of the show if they would have lost last night. And, I did not want to come on and say, I told you so after my prediction. I did not want to do that. I promise you, I did not want to do that. You should put some weight on it. It's a good win. I'm sure T-Mobile was a fun environment last night. It's always nice when you can coast through a third period, like in the way that they did. And, the second period, I mean, again, what's the mood like last night? Let's talk about this for a second. 0-0 through the first, but VGK looked good, but they couldn't get one in the net. We're still snake bitten. Finally get a good goal to start the scoring in the second period. And then LT, unfortunately, poor positioning, gets in a bad spot. Now we're tied right away. So that's in the players' heads. That is in their heads right away. But then the third period is what it is, and they just exploded. So, we should be happy about this. It's something that we should celebrate. It's the second win in 7 or 8 games on home ice. The power play is excelling. 5-on-5, there's some work to be done. I haven't seen the PK stats, admittedly. I got to look at that at some point. But yeah, we should be happy about the way things went last night. And if they can get it going, going into the Christmas break on Friday against St. Louis, we should be in a good spot. It'd be really good to see. I mean, we've been dying for this, but we need a 60-minute dominating effort. I don't know if we have seen that since the Anaheim game back on Nevada Day. Mm-hmm. That's like the only game that I can recall where it was, you sit back with your feet up on, over the person's shoulder in front of you, and you just enjoy the show, right? That was the only game that was really like that, in my opinion. It was a 4-0 victory over Anaheim. And unfortunately, me and Chris had to leave early that game. He wasn't feeling well. It was on a doubleheader too. Doubleheader with the Silver Knights on Black Friday. That's what that was. It was Black Friday, not Nevada Day, Black Friday. So we need a game like that on Friday. We really do. But, St. Louis is a team that's not afraid to muck it up a little bit or put us back in the funk. There you go. And, who knows, we're going to get out Jordan Biddington. I mean, he's good for a shutout as much as he is for 5 goals, as much as he is for inciting a riot on T-Mobile Ice.
I would love to see that. I want someone to just sock that guy. He deserves it.
Sometimes a bench clearing brawl can turn a baseball season around for a team.
Aiden Hill, I suppose, 50-50 split now on Friday night.
You're going to see both.
LT.
You're going to see both goalies next week when they come out of the Christmas break on a back-to-back, Tony, on the road. It's like a half hour apart from Anaheim from the pond to the Honda Center and the Honda West over to the crypto.com/Staples Center / whatever it's going to be, because it's not going to be crypto that much longer. I don't think. I don't care how long the
schedule is rigged, man. It's rigged.
Honestly, I think it's Aiden Hill on Friday. I might be in the minority in that, but it's working right now. I would like to see Aiden Hill on Friday. And I'm not knocking LT, just saying there's a little bit of to quote Darren Millard from the pregame the other day, there's a little bit of ham and eggs going on right now, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. I did put out a little poll there on Locked On VGK the other day. What should the VGK do with Laurent Brossoit? And the options were trade him, promote to VGK, keep in the AHL with HSK. And 42% of the fans, and we had a pretty good reaction there. 42% of the fans said trade him, but it pretty much divided. Promote to VGK was second, and then keep down in the minor league with the farm team at 27%. But what are your thoughts about trading him after? I guess it's after the 28th, I think, of this month when the trade freeze is over.
Based on a conversation I had, I can tell you that Brossoit wants to be up right now. He definitely wants to be up right now. And who doesn't want to be up? He is at the point where any more AHL starts are doing nothing for him besides just kind of keeping him fresh. He's not developing anymore. He's not getting his conditioning back. He is ready to go. And like any goalie, you want to compete, right? This is what you're here for. And sure, he's enjoying the fruits of being in the AHL with a 7-figure contract, something a lot of players don't get. But he wants to be up. He wants to help this team win. I don't know if there's a spot for him right now with what's happening with LT and Aiden Hill. They're both playing fine. LT's struggling a bit, but you're not gonna, I'll use my words carefully. You're not gonna send LT down because of his play, but they could, given the fact that I believe LT is still on a 2-way, they could send him down to get Brossoit starts, do it on paper, whatever it works out to be, where he never actually goes down there. They could do something like that, but you go back to the original reason that Robin Lehner was acquired. There was concerns where if there was a playoff run and Marc-Andre Fleury went down, what do you have behind you? You have Malcolm Subban. That's not going to cut it, unfortunately. So VGK now has this platoon with LT and Aiden Hill. If one of them go down and you don't have Brossoit waiting for you, and one of them might go down, it's injuries, it happens, it's part of the game, and sure as heck part of the VGK game with our guys getting injured. Do you really want to have Petura or Hutchinson as our next man up and relying on LT or Aiden Hill getting 100% of the starts in the playoffs? And the answer is I don't think that's the right answer. And I think even into the playoffs, you could see a rotation of some sort, assuming things keep going the way they are between Aiden Hill and LT. But to answer the question, I think we hold on to Brossoit at least until 2 weeks before the deadline, and you make that decision then. But I think you keep your security blanket because it's not hurting us financially. I think you keep the security blanket.
Yeah.
And in the offseason, make a move.
Yeah, they could definitely showcase him, as you mentioned yesterday as well. Just bring him up for the one game. I think that they're going to do that right after the new year. I have to believe that they're going to give him a spot start of sorts. And luckily, knock on wood, both of the goalies, at least as much as we know, are relatively healthy for the Vegas Golden Knights. Although I think LT took one off the noggin again last night.
He did. Yeah, he was looking down though, so he didn't catch it flush into him. He was actually looking down, so it was more. It still hurts. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a flush, headshot.
Coming up tomorrow, we're going to be discussing. We'll have, of course, the preview for the VGK St. Louis game, and it's our WTF heading into the holiday season, so that could be a lot of fun. We thank you all for making Locked On Golden Knights your first listen each and every day. Make sure to check out Locked On Sports today. That's free and available wherever you get your podcast. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. For my man, Chris Golick, no longer snake-bitten, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.